Southern California, good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Today we have ourselves quite a show, as we have a lot to get to in the world of Southern California sports, such as El Clásico, but the Galaxy and LAFC did not disappoint. Did LAFC continue their blazing start, or did the Galaxy cool them off? And I can't say the same for Angel City and Wave FC as they continue to slump. Will they be able to shake off their terrible start, or are they too little too late? And it was a rough week for the MLB teams from Southern California as the Angels continued to spiral out of control. The Dodgers got humbled against the Phillies, and the Padres were no match for the Mariners and struggled against the Diamondbacks. Sparks also continued to struggle, even though they got a nice win over Las Vegas Aces in overtime, and the Lakers added 2 coaches to their coaching staff, and we got to see the debut of Ronnie James in summer. How did he fare, and what have the Clippers been up to this summer? All that and more here on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And welcome all to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Friday afternoon, Friday evening, Friday wherever you are listening from. Either way, you have made your way into episode 186 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. And without any further delay, let us begin. But first and foremost, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show would not be live on StreamYard without IE Sports Radio providing the platforms to go live on StreamYard. Please do follow IE Sports Radio on several different social media platforms such as X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And we are also available on several different podcast platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. The list goes on and on. And we also have a website, iesportsradio.com, for all of your latest sports news, our blog, our pages dedicated to each podcast, such as the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. And we have a merchandise shop where you can cop your t-shirts like this one, your tank tops, your caps, your sweaters for all those gloomy and muggy days and for the winter, and our caps and all of our other IE Sports Radio swag. And we also have Fans of the Month and our other blog sites where you can even write articles for us as well. For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports states around the country. Thank you to everyone for all of your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. You can follow the SoCal Supreme Sports Show on several different, or on X, formerly known as Twitter, at SoCal Show IESR. And you can follow me, Teran Rodriguez, on X, formerly known as Twitter, mainly at Teran Rodriguez 1. Before we continue and get on into the sports side of things, let us give a shout out to our sponsors, Plant Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, and Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. So let's get to it.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
That's right, everybody. Definitely check out Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. and Planet Jerky Premium Beef Jerky. We appreciate them for being the official sponsor of IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. All right, let's get on into the Southern California sports action. So, apologies if I didn't go live last week. Obviously, it was a holiday weekend. Obviously, the day after I was scheduled to go live the day after the 4th of July, but it's like, why not honor the holiday on today as opposed to yesterday? All right, but with that said and done, let's get on into that SoCal sports action. So we have to discuss the Lakers. So it's another saga of days of our Lakers. But the Lakers, after drafting Dalton Knecht and Bronny James Jr., or Bronny James, the Lakers have brought aboard a couple of familiar coaches to their staff. And those coaches are as follows. They are Nate McMillan and Scott Brooks. So that's actually pretty good if you ask me. So my biggest concern for JJ Redick was, could he bring a good coaching staff? And the answer to that so far is yes. Nate McMillan could probably be a coach on any other team that is in desperate need of a head coach. And then Scott Brooks obviously has had himself some success with other teams as well. Like, I think he was a coach for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And if I recall correctly, I think he was a coach at UC Irvine in terms of men's basketball. But the Lakers are putting together a good coaching staff. And that was the big thing for them. They needed a good coaching staff back when they hired Frank Vogel. Now they have a solid start to their coaching staff with JJ Redick. And I think this is starting to look good for the Lakers. They're getting their draft pieces. My only concern is that will they be able to add on to their roster to help out Anthony Davis and LeBron James? That's my biggest thing right there. Will they be shopping other players around? Will they be making a splash trade? Will Dalton Knecht be part of the lineup? Because Dalton Knecht looked pretty good in Summer League. And going to Bronny James in Summer League, all eyes were on Bronny James because obviously he and LeBron are going to be father-son in terms of the Lakers and whatnot. So Bronny James obviously had a little bit of a slow start to his Summer League, but I think the Lakers are doing a good job so far. And this is the Summer League. We're not going to hit the panic button if the Lakers don't win Summer League. And even if the Lakers do somehow win Summer League, it is totally inconsequential. We shouldn't be worried one bit. So I think for the Lakers, they're doing everything right for the most part. Obviously, they haven't been making too many big moves, but hey, a house is never built overnight. So I can't wait to see what the Lakers have in store for us when it comes to the offseason and the regular season. I think the Lakers, I'm excited for the Lakers season. I wasn't too overly keen when it came to the Lakers this past season. I mean, obviously I cared enough to see what they were doing and whatnot, but with Bronny James in the fold, he's obviously going to have his growing pains because he didn't really get to have too much spotlight when it came to playing at USC. But Dalton Connect, I'm also interested in, just because he was slated to be in the top 10, and then he slipped all the way down to where the Lakers were, and the Lakers eventually scooped him up, which I thought was pretty good. I think Dalton Connect could probably be a sixth-man guy. He'll definitely provide good minutes off the bench. And honestly, those reports saying that his defense leaves a lot to be desired, I don't care about that. I mean, no one really plays defense in the NBA nowadays. But I think for Dalton Connect, he's definitely going to make a big impact for the Lakers going forward into this up and coming season. I mean, he'll obviously have to earn his minutes because the Lakers obviously have a bunch of good other players that deserve minutes. I mean, obviously Austin Reeves comes to mind. Reeves didn't really have the best season, but he eventually turned it on when it mattered most, and he came up big when it mattered most. And then the big thing is, what are the Lakers going to do with D'Angelo Russell? I think the Lakers are probably going to shop D'Angelo Russell, but if he does stay with the Lakers, then I think that'd be pretty That'd be pretty good. He obviously started out as a Laker, then he got dealt, and then eventually he came back to the Lakers, and he actually had himself some solid seasons. I mean, last year in the playoffs was a complete dud, if you ask me. But I think for the Lakers and for D'Lo is back, and he's more mature than ever, and I think he definitely has a lot of upside to his game. So this Lakers season is going to be really interesting, to say the least, and I hope for the Lakers' sake they are able to strike gold when it matters most. And also, if they play in the in-season tournament, I don't want them to win the tournament and then have this massive slump. Like, that was complete and utter ridiculousness when they wound up winning the in-season tournament only for them to start going on a slump, which included losing to some subpar teams, which was absolutely unacceptable. And it just goes to show that the in-season tournament does not mean nothing. Yes, the Lakers made history by winning that in-season tournament, but look at where it got them. They had to play in the play-in game. They eventually made the playoffs, but they pretty much got bounced in 5 games against the Denver Nuggets. So when the moral of the story, the playoffs are what matter the most, not the in-season tournament. I mean, the in-season tournament's kind of like an added bonus, but the NBA as a whole is starting to get better. I mean, you look at the Celtics in the East, they're looking really good. The Mavericks getting Klay Thompson, the son of former Laker Michael Thompson. The Thunder obviously had some flashes. You have the Timberwolves that were looking young and hungry, having themselves a nice little Western Conference title run. Or making it to the Western Conference Finals. The Suns, they're in an interesting situation. Gen V says, winning Summer League is the kiss of death. Just ask the Cavs. Yep. Summer League does not mean, and like the Lizards. Yes, like the Lizards. The Washington Lizards. But yeah, the entire NBA is starting to get better. So the Lakers really have to keep up with the pack. Everyone because there's always high expectations for the Lakers, and having LeBron James is definitely adds more fuel to the fire. And I hope for the Lakers' sake they're able to put 2 + 2 together and eventually have a deep playoff run. And hopefully we don't have to see them playing in the play-in game. I'm so sick of them playing in the play-in game. I mean, not this past season, but the previous season, it was great when they made the play-in game and they were the 7th seed. That was the best case scenario because they matched up really well against Memphis, and eventually they matched up well against Golden State. And unfortunately, we all know what happened with the Nuggets, but I digress. But I just think that the Lakers are definitely putting a whole lot of things together. Hopefully, just like to quote Larry B, hopefully the Lakers don't piss me off anymore, because that would not be fun. So we'll see what happens. But that's going to basically do it for the Lakers portion of the show. Again, Summer League is obviously underway. We're going to be seeing the young guys and like the second timers and third timers and the undrafted free agents try to get their way, but nothing to base. But all eyes obviously are on Bronny James, but nothing to get overly dramatic over. So we'll see what happens with the Lakers. But that's going to do it for the first part of this show. We're going to take ourselves a quick little commercial break. When we come back, we've got some MLS to discuss and some NWSL. And then later on, we'll have some MLB and some WNBA. And we have the Dum Dum of the Week. So keep it locked here. You're listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
What's up, New York? This is Ricky K coming at you at the NY State of Sports, a new show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Listen to me every Thursday afternoon as we bring you the latest takes on the Yankees, Mets, Jets, Giants, Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Devils, and Islanders. Plus, you get some college hoops and what's the local sports events going on in the area. It's a state that never sleeps, so why not get the opinions and sports takes that never sleep? Again, every Thursday, 2 p.m. to the NY State of Sports. We'll see you then.
What's good, everyone? It's Drewski, the host of Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. On this station, we cover everything in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area. From where we cover the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Stars, Dallas Mavericks, Dallas Wings, Texas Rangers, TCU, SMU, we cover it all right here every Wednesdays from 9 to 10 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you stay live with me on the Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And we are back with the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out all of our amazing shows, including the Heart of Texas Sports with Drewski, as well as New York State of Sports with Ricky. Both do an amazing job with their shows. Let's get on into that second part of the show. So we have some MLS to discuss as LAFC and the LA Galaxy continue to kick butt and take names. So we missed quite a bit of last week. So again, apologies if I didn't go live, but number one, it was a holiday, so you kind of got to understand and that I got to honor the holiday. And number two, I kind of wasn't feeling all that great, so I kind of did the right thing, which you'll be seeing in a little bit. But as for the MLS, so not last Saturday, but this past Saturday, LAFC and the LA Galaxy were able to take down their respective opponents. Last time we talked about them, the LAFC was playing the Colorado Rapids, which was actually number 4 in the Western Conference at the time, and they just dismantled them 3-0 at BMO Stadium. Mateusz Bagush was able to be a one-man army as he had not 1, not 2, but 3 goals as the LAFC was able to hold the Rapids to only 1 shot on goal all game. So that's just how impressive LAFC was. And then the Galaxy on the same day, they were able to dispatch of the San Jose Quakes 3-0 at Stanford Stadium. I didn't know that the Quakes played in Stanford Stadium. That's pretty cool. But unlike LAFC's match, the Galaxy actually had distribution as Joseph Painstill, Dejan Hoblahich, and Mauricio Cuevas all scored for the Galaxy as they dominated possession against one of the worst teams, not only in the Western Conference, but the worst team in the league. But that was basically the appetizer. The two teams eventually played on the 4th of July in El Tráfico at the Rose Bowl. So I don't know if this, I think it was like a couple of years ago where both teams started to play at the Rose Bowl, and then Mother Nature decided to rain on the parade of LAFC and the Galaxy when it got rained out, which really stunk. But the two teams played each other on 4th of July at the Rose Bowl, and it was rocking. There was 70,076 in attendance, which I was really flabbergasted on. I've seen LAFC and LA Galaxy face one another, and it is rocking. Fans are all over the place. Chants are all over the place for both these teams. It is just phenomenal. So through 35 minutes, it was scoreless up until the 39th minute when Kate Camara scored for LAFC to put them up 1-0. And then 5 minutes later, Dennis Buanga, a.k.a. Captain Los Angeles, knocked in a penalty goal for LAFC to put them up 2-0, which was the eventual halftime score. So looking at this, I was extremely concerned for the Galaxy. It looked like the Galaxy had cold feet. I was just, no. If the Galaxy want to become one of the better teams in the league, they have to show up, and they have to make sure they don't spot the other team goals, and they can't allow goals to stack up like that. Oh, come on! Obvious, yes. Oh, come on is right, and LFC is just a strong team. Everyone knows that, but the Galaxy have vastly improved, and if they want to be the best, they got to beat some of the best. The Galaxy didn't waver away, though, as Gabriel Peck scored in the 56th minute to cut LAFC's lead in half as they led 2-1. But despite dominating possession, being 64% to 36%, the Galaxy just could not find that equalizer as LAFC escaped the Rose Bowl with the win as they remain in first place. As Larry, as a Galaxy fans have every right to be PO'd, but it was a thrilling match. I know my takeaway for El Tráfico is this. Well, Tráfico round 2, but El Tráfico on 4th of July, it didn't disappoint. It would have been even better if the Galaxy just did not get off to such a slow start. And the Galaxy cannot have a slow start like that, because against a good team like LAFC, they really have to show up. And I know the crowd is rocking. There's lots of black and gold, but Galaxy fans travel well as well. So I think for LAFC, this was definitely a big test for them. And the hits definitely kept coming. They not only had the Rapids, but they had the Galaxy. They just recently had Real Salt Lake a few weeks ago. So I think for LAFC, they are really starting to pass these tests with flying colors for the most part. So after that, both teams played on Sunday, but for LFC, spoiler alert, they actually had their game postponed. They were supposed to play the Houston Dynamo, but because of the bad weather up in H-Town, they have to postpone that and move it to another game, or move it to another day. Yeah. But the Galaxy, on the other hand, they played Minnesota United on Sunday, and there was no El Tráfico hangover as the Galaxy wound up winning 2-1. Gabriel Peck netted both goals for the Galaxy, including the clincher in the 90th minute. So that was a nice little bounce-back win. It's so easy to have the El Tráfico hangover, whether you win or lose, because sometimes when you win that rivalry match, you basically feel all high and mighty, but then when you lose that rivalry match, you just feel slumping and down in the dumps. But overall, I was very impressed by the fact that LAFC really, well, not LAFC, the LA Galaxy were able to come back strong and win. I mean, Minnesota United is one of the better teams, but you just can't underestimate anybody nowadays. And then as for LAFC, they actually did have a match this past week on Wednesday. They actually played in the U.S. Open Cup. They actually played New Mexico, and LAFC was able to handle New Mexico. They wound up winning 3-1. They showed no signs of a letdown, and the LA Galaxy are just red hot. got to bring that fire extinguisher because they are on fire. So LAFC advances to the U.S. Open Cup semifinals. So that's a good thing right there. I mean, again, it's a mid-season tournament. It's nothing like big time right there. If they win the U.S. Open Cup, great. They get to hang a banner, I guess, and they get more hardwood for their dust collecting trophy case. I'm just kidding. They have one trophy. They have one MLS Cup, and then they have a runner-up cup. But definitely a nice little win right there over New Mexico, as LAFC is back in action tomorrow, and Jen B alluded this in the chat. They're facing the Columbus Crew. So it's a rematch of last year's MLS Cup championship. And oh man, let me just tell you, that's going to be a barn burner. I expect LAFC to come out with a lot of fire in their bellies, and that's going to be another big test because Columbus Crew is pretty darn good as well. So, well, it's pretty darn good in the East. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what will take place at BMO Stadium. It's going to be rocking because I definitely think LAFC is looking forward to this. I'm pretty sure this is one of those matches that they circled on their calendar when the schedule got released. Obviously, they love facing the LA Galaxy, but facing the Columbus Crew in a rematch of last year's MLS Cup championship is definitely one that they have on their radar, and they definitely want to take the axe and swing it as hard as they can. And then as for the Galaxy, they are back in. They should be back in action this weekend, and I think it's going to be. I think they should be back. They should be back in action. I'm looking at Jen's comment. It's a send off for our goalie too. He's leaving from LA for Paris. Oh yeah, because the Paris Olympics are right around the corner, and I want to say the MLS gets a nice little break. A lot of these sports get breaks, like the WNBA gets a break. I think the MLB will still be taking place, but most of these sport leagues in the summer, like the MLS, the NWSL, they get a nice little break in between just because of the Olympics, just because teams don't want to be shorthanded when their superstars are representing their countries. All right, but that is that for the MLS portion of the show. Again, both those teams are kicking butt and taking names. Now, I cannot say the same for Wave FC and Angel City, as both continue to be sticks in the stand. So last time we left off for Wave FC, Larry's just pissed when it comes to all of his teams. But last time we left off with Wave FC, they're in the post-Casey Stoney era after they fired Casey Stoney after that abysmal start, even though they gave her a contract extension. Anyway, so last time we talked about them, post-Casey Stoney era, but Wave FC took on San Diego Wave FC, San Diego Wave FC took on the Chicago Red Stars, and unfortunately, Wave FC just could not defend Snapdragon Stadium as they wound up losing 3-0, last Friday. Yeah. And it was disappointing to say the least, as San Diego's winless streak has stretched to 8, so not good. They held their own for the most part, but Chicago scored 2 goals in 2 minutes to turn a 1-0 game into a 3-0 game, and Wave FC just could not recover. And then last week, and this was actually 2 weeks ago, not last week, but last week, Wave FC played their lone match of July against the Portland Thorns. Always a tough match to play the Portland Thorns, but despite holding their own, Wave FC lost to the Portland Thorns on the road 1-0. It was definitely an improvement from the previous match, but it was still bad. So SoCal native Izzy Dakia buried the game winner for the Thorns in the 85th minute to net the Thorns the win. And yes, I can confirm that Izzy Dakia is from the Southern California area. She's from Mission Viejo. She was a stud at J. Sarah High School, and she was a superstar at Santa Clara University. But I digress. Ken says, well, at least Chicago has one decent team. Yeah, they do have at least one decent team. But that's kind of saying a lot if you ask me. But for Wave FC, they are just in a massive slump. So now their winless streak is at 9. Make the ride stop, ladies and gentlemen. But Angel City also didn't fare any better as they got smoked by the Orlando Pride a couple weeks ago, 3-0 at BMO Stadium. Adriana, yes, that's her name, scored twice for the Pride, which was actually in the span of 6 minutes. Ugh. And that put Angel City in a massive hole early on, and unfortunately, they just could not recover from that match. Last Friday, they had their lone match of July as they took on New Jersey/New York Gotham FC, but unfortunately, Angel City wound up losing that one 2-1 last Saturday. So again, the NWSL teams are just really on the struggle bus. Get me off this ride ASAP. This is just bad for both of these teams. Thankfully, that was their only match of July for both of those teams as they get pretty much the Olympics off. But once the break is over, I want them to have guns a-blazing. I want them to be full steam ahead because this is sad and ridiculous right here. This is absolutely disgusting. It's one thing for one of those teams to be bad, but both of them to be bad. Do you know it's really tough to be really bad than it is to be really good? And here's the thing. We're not expecting Wave FC or Angel City, for that matter, to be world beaters. We just want them to be watchable or worth something. We don't expect them to be national champions or world champions. We just want them to look much better than a JV high school team. I'm just saying, y'all. Like, that's my little rant right there when it comes to both those teams, because it's so sickening if you ask me. But that's going to basically do it for Wave FC and Angel City FC. When we come back, we've got some MLB to discuss and some WNBA. So keep it locked here. You are listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, everybody? This is Teran Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of thunderous spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Back with the final segment of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out our amazing shows such as Chi-Town Weekly and Set Point. Both fall on Mondays right behind one another at 5 p.m. Pacific Time and 6 p.m. Pacific Time. And as a little bit of a programming note, I know I don't talk a lot of volleyball on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, but at Long Beach State, USA Volleyball is hosting the USA Volleyball Cup against Netherlands. I went to that friendly match. It's just a friendly match. It's like an exhibition. Well, not an exhibition match, but a friendly match. It doesn't count toward anything. It's just a little final tune-up for both those teams. I was in attendance on Wednesday, and I'm just gonna say I really loved it, and I'm glad I was able to attend. I'm gonna be there tonight as after this recording, and I'm also gonna be there Sunday. Just a little bit of a note that tonight's match, being on Friday, starts at 7 p.m. Pacific time, and then Sunday's match will start at 4 p.m. Pacific time. So just keep that in the back of your minds. But follow the action on X, formerly known as Twitter, at set_point.ie. But that's enough volleyball right there and then. Let's get on into the final segment of the show. And I just got to say, got to go to the WNBA and rip the Band-Aid off. This is all I got to say when it comes to the Sparks. I'm sorry, but this ride when it comes to the Sparks just never seems to end. It gets worse and worse and worse. And yes, Larry, the Sparks pissed me off too. But I will say they have a legitimate excuse. They don't have Cameron Brink. They've got a bunch of other players that are on IR. They're turning into a walking hospital. Pretty soon, their anthem, well, not the national anthem, but their fight song is going to be the NFL on Fox injury timeout theme. I can't play it just because copyright reasons, and I don't want to get us taken down or sued. But if you type in NFL on Fox injury theme or injury timeout, you will know what I mean. Anyway, so for the Sparks. So last time we talked about them, they had lost all their matches on their road trip. All their matches on their road trip. Absolutely disappointing. So their final game of their 7-game road trip ended in a 92-78 loss against the Phoenix Mercury, which the Sparks were in complete retrograde, if you know what I mean. Dear Kahami led the Sparks with 29 points, and Rokia Jackson added 14 points. Ari McDonald added 12 points and 10 rebounds in the loss. But unfortunately, it was just not enough. The Mercury were just too much for the Sparks, and it's disappointing. And thankfully for the Sparks, they were able to return to the Crypto.com arena last Tuesday. Not this past Tuesday, but the following Tuesday against the lowly Washington Mystics. However, the Mystics spoiled their return to the Crypto.com arena as they wound up losing 82-20. The Sparks led by 12 after 3 quarters, but they got outscored 30-16 in the 4th quarter, which is just absolutely disappointing. Stephanie Talbot and Ari McDonald led the Sparks with 17 points each, while Derica Hammy added 16 points and 11 rebounds. Rokia Jackson added 12 points for the Sparks in the loss, but this is really getting frustrating. It's bad when the Sparks are losing to the Mystics. I know the Mystics are getting better. They're not as bad as they were when they started off. But, oh, my God. Get me off this ride real quick. I'm sorry, but this is just sickening to me. And as a Sparks fan, it just really sucks. So last Friday, the Sparks actually took on the Las Vegas Aces, which were winners of 6 straight, but the Sparks did the unthinkable. They stunned the Aces. They stunned the Las Vegas Aces. They had a straight flush for the Aces. And the Sparks were able to take down the Aces at Crypto.com Arena 98-93 in overtime, despite giving up 35 points to Aja Wilson, one of the best players in the WNBA. So this Sparks team is really confusing if you ask me. So I don't know what to expect with the Sparks team. One day they're losing to the Mystics, and the next day or the next game they're beating the Aces, which are the reigning champions. That's twice they've beaten the Aces. I don't get it, dude. Anyway, Dear Kahami led the Sparks with 28 points and 14 boards, while Ari McDonald added 23 points. Rokia Jackson and Stephanie Talbot added 14 and 13 points respectively in the win. And that's a good win right there. I mean, with how bleak the Sparks season has been, obviously with losing Cameron Brink, obviously having a bunch of players missing time due to injuries and other illnesses and whatnot, this is a nice little feather in their cap. Unfortunately, the win got short-lived as this past Sunday, and that was last Friday. That was last Friday on July 5th. But this past Sunday, the Sparks unfortunately Hold on. Still, get me off this ride as the Sparks wound up losing to the Phoenix Mercury at home, 84-78. And they also lost to the Minnesota Lynx, 82-67 on Tuesday, this past Tuesday. So thankfully, their break is coming up sooner rather than later in terms of the Olympic break. But yeah, this is becoming more and more disappointing. It's becoming more frustrating. I mean, the expectations for the Sparks were fairly low, but my goodness, this is really bad. But again, it does not help when they have a bunch of injuries. Anyway, so the Sparks are back in action when they host the Dallas Wings on the road, or when they hit the road to D-Town, Dallas, to take on the Dallas Wings tomorrow. And then they return home to the Crypto.com Arena Tuesday against the Seattle Storm. And then they will have their nice little Olympic break where they can heal up and hopefully get back to full strength and maybe, just maybe, have themselves a nice little push for the playoffs. Make it interesting. I don't expect them to be world beaters, but I expect them to be competitive. So we'll see what happens with the Sparks. But for right now, get me off this ride real quick. Anyway, so next up we have the MLB to discuss. So not this past week, but a couple weeks ago, the Angels, Dodgers, and Padres were actually doing pretty solid, if you ask me, with the exception of the Dodgers. But for the Angels, they're spiraling out of control real quick. So against the Tigers, they actually wound up winning not 2 weeks ago, 6-5 in 10 innings, as Kevin Pillar actually had the walk-off single in the 10th inning, which was his first walk-off since 2018. So nice work to Kevin Pillar. But that was kind of where the buck stopped, as they also wound up winning on Saturday as well. But the Angels wound up losing on Sunday 7-6 in a heartbreaker. And that snapped the Angels' 6-game winning streak, as Justin Henry Malloy had an inside-the-park home run in the 4th inning for Detroit. Oh, my God, Angels. It gets worse for the Angels. They're not only wasting careers of some of these talented players, but they're allowing inside-the-park home runs. Get me off this ride, too. Please. And it gets worse. The Angels nearly rallied in the 9th inning, but they wound up losing altogether. It gets worse, though. They took on the Oakland Athletics last week, not this past week, but last week, but it got worse. They wound up getting swept by the Oakland A's. They lost on Tuesday 7-5, they lost on Wednesday 5-0, and they lost on Thursday 5-0. Oakland is one of the worst teams in the league, and and the Angels are losing to them. No. Absolutely terrible. And then their series against the Cubs, they wound up losing 2 out of 3. Their lone win came on Saturday when they wound up winning 7-0. And I think fans got like a cheeseburger or a hot dog because the Angels wound up winning that one. But the Angels wound up losing on Friday and Sunday by scores of 5-1 and 5-0, respectively. And then this past week, the Angels took on the Texas Rangers in the Big A, and unfortunately the Angels didn't fare any better against the Rangers, even though the Rangers are not good this season, though a wounded bear is the most dangerous bear. The Angels wound up losing to the Rangers 9-4 on Monday and 5-4 on Tuesday. That one was definitely a heartbreaker. But the Angels were able to salvage a win on Wednesday, winning that one 7-2. So this weekend, the Angels will continue their series against the Seattle Mariners, as the Angels wound up losing to the Mariners 11-0. So the Angels can't even beat their own rivals correctly. So I wish we could have – I'm sorry for Astros fans out there, but the Angels are not going to be of any help to y'all unless the Angels suddenly turn the clocks back to their 2002 team. So I'm sorry to Astros fans out there, but it looks like the Angels will be spoon-feeding these wins to the Mariners. It is what it is, though. That's going to be their last series before the All-Star break, which is next week. And then they'll be back in action the following week, the following Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So there's that. So as for the Padres were actually up and down in their most recent series. So not 2 weeks ago, the Padres beat the Red Sox on Friday and Saturday by scores of 9-2 and 11-1. But in the final game of the series, they lost 4-1. So that's still pretty good. It's not easy to win at Fenway Park, especially with the Green Monster. And the Red Sox are much better than they were last year. And then against the Texas Rangers, the Padres took 2 out of 3 last week as they lost the first game 7-0, but wound up on Tuesday, and then they wound up winning the next 2 games 6-4 on Wednesday and 3-1 on Thursday. So that's a nice little momentum booster right there, right? No. The Padres kind of went back down to earth as they wound up losing 2 out of 3 to the Diamondbacks. They won the first game 10-8, which was an encouraging sign. I was definitely under the impression that the Padres were still riding the highs on the Rangers series win, as well as the Red Sox series win. But then Saturday, they came back down to earth, losing 7-5. And then Sunday, they wound up losing the rubber match 9-1. So it's 2 steps forward and 10 steps back. But in this case, it was 20 steps back because in their 2-game series against the Mariners at home, they wound up losing both of them by scores of 8-3 and 2-0. That second one was a very frustrating loss just because the Padres, they definitely had their chances, but unfortunately, the Mariners, I hate to say this, they're as good as advertised. Blah. Anyway, so the Padres are back in action against the Atlanta Braves at home on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we'll see what happens with the Padres. And then for the Dodgers. So the Dodgers, we saved kind of the best for last, except not really, because the Dodgers actually kind of struggled in some of their series. So 2 weeks ago, they took on the San Francisco Giants. They lost the first game 5-3, but wound up winning the second one 14-7 in 11 innings. Yes, it took 11 innings for the Dodgers to beat the Giants 14-7. That's a little football score right there. And then on Sunday of a few weeks ago, the Dodgers wound up losing that one 10-4. That was not fun, losing 2 out of 3 to the Giants. It's never fun losing to the Giants. But against the Diamondbacks, the Dodgers didn't really see too much progress in that one. As Larry says, I'm not pissed off at the Dodgers, but they still pissed me off. So he's not pissed, but he's still pissed. Got it. Anyway, but the Dodgers had a little bit of a rough series against the Diamondbacks. They won the first game 6-5 off of a Freddie Freeman game-tying RBI double in the ninth. And then Teoscar Hernandez had the walk-off single, which eventually brought home Freddie Freeman. So that was a nice little game right there. Nice little comeback victory right there in the ninth. But unfortunately, that's kind of where the Dodgers' luck kind of ran out, as they lost 12-4 last Wednesday, and then they lost 9-3 on the 4th of July. So that was a little frustrating. Then last Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they took on the Milwaukee Brewers, and that one was a little better as they hosted the Brewers instead of, they weren't on the road, obviously, but unlike the Giants, the Dodgers were at home hosting the Brewers. They wound up winning the first 2 games 8-5 and 5-3. So it was looking very encouraging. And the second game actually was a comeback. Or was it the first game? Regardless, one of the 2 wins were comeback wins, which I thought was impressive because I was looking. It was looking really grim for the Dodgers. I was under the impression that they weren't going to be winning this series. I was like, oh no, this one's going to be chalked up as a loss, isn't it? But thankfully for the Dodgers, they were able to pull out the W. And the Brewers are a solid team. The Brewers are not a bad team by any means. But unfortunately, the final game of the series did not go the Dodgers' way, as they wound up losing 9-2. So that was a tough one. And then the Phillies series, oh man, this one was really tough. The Dodgers obviously had to go across the country to the land of brotherly love, but there was no love for the Dodgers as they got swept by the Phillies. Now, keep in mind, the Phillies are the best team in the National League, so it's kind of understandable that the Dodgers lost, but oh man, this was not fun. So they lost the first game 10-1, that just goes to show how good Philadelphia is, even though sometimes Philadelphia has their downs, like most Philly sports, but I digress. And then Wednesday, the two teams actually played on national television on ESPN. Unfortunately, the Dodgers lost a heartbreaker. They lost 4-3. Again, they had their opportunities. They had their chances. Unfortunately, they just could not take advantage of the situation as they let the Phillies sneak away with the win. And then on Thursday, they lost 5-1 against the Phillies, which completed the series sweep. Man, that was not fun for the Dodgers. I'm just going to say that right now. The Dodgers, they went 5 steps forward with that series win over the Brewers, and then they go 20 steps back with their sweep, with getting swept against the Phillies. Now, if the Dodgers really want to go deep, they really got to show the other better teams in the National League who's boss. They did a great job against the Brewers, but against the Phillies on the road, you really have to come up big. You can't just win all your games in the Chavez Ravine. They have to show up on the road too, because sometimes home field advantage might not mean anything. And home field advantage hasn't meant anything for the Dodgers just because they've gotten bounced in the opening rounds against some of their division foes, like the Padres and Diamondbacks. So there you go. Got to win on the road. That's the number one rule of thumb. The series in the postseason does not begin until a team wins on the road. So there you go. So the Dodgers are back in action this weekend as they're currently playing right now against the Detroit Tigers. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday they are playing the Detroit Tigers. That should kind of be a chance for them to get back on track, but you never know with the Dodgers. But then the All-Star break is on the horizon, and then they'll be back in action next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. All right, but that is that for the Dodgers portion of this show. So before we get on out of here, we have to go over the Dum Dum of the Week. So the Dum Dum of the Week is basically an award I give out to which nobody is safe from. And I actually have 2 that I like to give out to. Unfortunately, my clicker is like, my little banner thing is like being all messed up because I'm using my phone, and unfortunately my phone isn't fully loaded. It hasn't. I'm on StreamYard, but it hasn't loaded yet. So, gosh darn it! But I have 2 Dum Dums of the week, and I'm just gonna say the first one right here now. I'm so sick and tired of this. This is my biggest pet peeve on 4th of July. People who light their fireworks late at night are the biggest headache in the world. I swear, because I cannot get any sleep, and I think it also wakes some of my neighbors too. Please, for the love of all that is holy, do not light your fireworks late at night. Nobody wants to hear fireworks late at night unless you are a night owl. Please, please, please do not light your fireworks late at night. It doesn't do me any good in terms of losing sleep. It doesn't do anyone good in terms of their sleep. It also does not do pets good because the loud noise startles them. I swear to God, anyone who lit their fireworks late at night, past 11 p.m., when people are trying to sleep, are absolute morons. And oh my God, my camera's doing the thing. All right, we're back. But oh my God, this is the most frustrating thing I've ever seen. And I could not get any sleep last week when it came to 4th of July week because I kept hearing pop, 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 boom, boom. I hope you all liked my firework impersonation, but it was so frustrating. Like, people who light their fireworks, public service announcement. You're not funny, you're not entertaining, you're annoying, and you're very lucky I did not get your license plate number when it came to your car, or a picture of you, just because I probably could have found you and tracked you down myself, except I wouldn't. But you're just not, no one wants to hear your fireworks late at night. And for those that do light fireworks while people are trying to sleep late at night, you're part of the problem, and you are a pest and annoyance. And more importantly, you are this week's Dum Dum of the Week.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
So there's Dum Dum of the Week number 1. Now for Dum Dum of the Week number 2. And oh man, remember my introduction when I was talking about the NBA teams with how the Lakers were doing and whatnot with Bronny James and getting their coaches? Well, we got to talk a little about the Clippers. And, well, Clippers, what can I say? Remember that Paul George trade? Oh man. It's not looking too good. The Clippers gave up so much for Paul George. And unfortunately, to the dismay of Clippers fans, you might want to turn this off. To the dismay for you Clippers fans, Paul George is more than likely and pretty much on his way out from the Paul George is leaving the Clippers in free agency. Oh my God. Clippers, I'm sorry, but Clippers gonna Clipper. How did you mess up the Paul George trade? Paul George is pretty much on his way out from La La Land. And what did the Clippers have to show for this Paul George trade? One trip to the Western Conference Finals. One trip to the Western Conference Final. That's it. They didn't make the NBA Final, unfortunately, and they even got Doc Rivers fired. Yes, they got Tyronn Lue, and he's been a great asset for the Clippers in terms of their head coach position. But what have you really done in terms of the Paul George trade, Clippers? Nothing. And unfortunately for you, you basically traded all those assets away to the Thunder for nothing. Just to see Paul George walk out the door. He's more than likely going to sign with Philadelphia. I don't think he's going to Golden State. But Clippers, I'm sorry, you lost this Paul George trade by a metric mile. It's just so sad. And soon Kawhi Leonard could be out the door just because he's getting up there in age. And the sad thing is for Kawhi Leonard, he lost his spot on the USA team. So Clippers, it's looking pretty grim for y'all. You might want to just hit the reset button and just start from scratch because this Paul George trade blew up in your face. Kawhi Leonard, based on what happened with him, it might be blowing up in their face as well. So I hate to say this, Clippers, but you're kind of Dum Dum of the Week with how Paul George is pretty much halfway out the door. So Clippers, you're Dum Dum of the Week.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Clippers. What are we going to do with you? At least you're not going to be in the crypto.com arena with the Lakers. At least you're going to be away from the Lakers as possible, even though you're still going to be in Southern California. One day, though, the Clippers will have their glory. It just won't be pretty soon. But on that note, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. It's time to get on out of here, because I got places to be and friends to meet up with. You dig? Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. I really do appreciate everybody tuning in. If you listen live, I appreciate you. If you listen on the playback, I appreciate you. If you listen at work, I appreciate you. If you listen at any time, any place, anywhere, I appreciate you. Shout out to Jen B, and shout out to Larry B, the producer and founder of iSports Radio. No relation between the two whatsoever. I will definitely be back next week for the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. I'll also be back for Set Point to break down all of the volleyball action, especially at the USA Volleyball Cup. For everyone here at iSports Radio, this is Teran Rodriguez signing out. Have yourself a great rest of the week. Enjoy the SoCal sports action. Don't light your fireworks late at night. I swear I will find you and you will be Dum Dum of the Week. Something to note is that tomorrow I will be at Edison High School for some passing football. I know it's not as flashy as the actual 11-on-11, but 7-on-7 football is still pretty good. So if you're going to be at Edison High School, I'll be there, and hopefully I'll get some interviews just like I did with the modern-day coach in Raul Lara. So have yourself a great weekend. Enjoy the SoCal sports action. Be safe, be well, and remember, SoCal is the SoCal. Peace!